Okay. If you go back and look at the kick, drawing your gun is a lot like doing a front snap kick. And this is where people make mistakes on the drawing technique. I break it down into 5 parts just for the simplicity of getting the gun up and getting the gun out. When we do this, and I'm going to run through it, number 1, we're going to draw it. And is anybody wearing, you got appendix carry? Okay. If you want to switch back to that at some point, that'll be okay too. And you might, once you do that, switch it to appendix carry just because the shoulder holster is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be essentially the same, but it's going to be an exaggerated appendix carry, okay? But that way you're not sweeping the whole rest of the line every time you pull the gun out. But it's going to be essentially the same motions. All right. I'm running appendix carry too, and we'll run it in just a second. But for everybody else that's running straight off the hip.
You can move down a little bit, give him some more room. I just need a little haul, that's all.
Yeah. All right. When you're drawing, I break it down into 5 steps. I'm going to run through it a couple of times, and then we're all going to do it. I'm not a big one into doing stuff and having you guys watch. On step 1, we're going to grip the gun. You can grip the gun, get a good firm grip on the gun. If the gun's up in tight to you and you can't get a hold of it, you feel free to put your thumb across the top if you need to draw it this way. So if you can't get a good grip on the gun, your thumb fits all the way down in there. Get a good fighting grip on the gun so the minute the gun comes out of the holster, I can beat my way out of whatever I'm in. But if the gun is really sucked in tight up against you, you know, this is the correct way to do it. Just grab your thumb up here. When the gun comes up, if you're going to step 1 is grip the gun. 2, you're going to bring the gun up just so it clears the holster. 3, you want to rotate it. The rotation, and I'll caution you guys, don't short step this whole process. This is where people get in trouble and get slow and sloppy because they try to just whip the gun out and bring it up. It's kind of like when you get somebody who wants to kick and they just want to kick from down here, but somebody doesn't know what they're doing, like a stiff-legged kick. You see it coming a mile and a half away, and anybody that knows anything is going to bust their leg and stomp them on it. All right? So you want to make sure when you guys are working this, there's 5 steps I break it down into. Run all 5 steps. This is stuff you can practice on your own once we do it enough times that you got it down. We're going to grip the gun. 1, 2. You only want to bring it up till it clears leather, till you clear your holster. 3, we want the rotation. When I rotate the gun, I'm not rotating the gun out here, so don't make a rotation up out here. I want to rotate the gun right here. I want the butt of the gun pretty much above the holster. It's going to be slightly different with the appendix, and we'll get into that. But I want to get the rotation here. I also want to make sure when I do the rotation that the gun is angled just slightly away from my body, because I don't want the slide, if I have to shoot from here, I don't want the slide snagging into my shirt and my clothing. We've had that happen on outdoor range. Pardon?
Or catch yourself on fire, depending on what you're wearing.
Well, yeah, depending on what you're wearing. But on the outdoor ranges in the wintertime, we've had people who had to cut out their coats. They'd fire around from down here and it would snag their clothing. The breech and close with some of their coat in the breech, and then it's like you can't get it out, the slide's jammed in there. It's like, well, you know, they're like cutting you out of your gun. But don't short circuit this, and you're going to see why when we get into this. So, grip, 1, 2, 3 is the rotation, angle it slightly away from your body. You don't need to turn it sideways. I just want it out enough where it's not going to catch my clothing and catch me. When we're doing that, as I grab my gun, my support hand, as I come up to grab my gun, my support hand's going to come across. If you're not wearing if it's not concealed, then you don't have a problem. But if the gun's under your clothing somewhere, the support hand when it comes across is going to pull your shirt or whatever up out of the way as it needs to clear. But that's the other reason I want to keep the gun back here, because if I hold my clothing out of the way, that's why I'm using a plastic gun, because I hate even pointing this at people. If I hold my clothing out of the way, then I short things. If I bring the gun up here, it's already past my support hand. That's the other reason I want to keep it back. But I need to keep it back because once the gun is horizontal and on my target, I can start shooting from there if I need to. So the goal is, once you got a good fighting grip on the gun, once you're out of the holster, get it on target. Get it on target. So we got 1, 2, 3, and just angled enough that it's clear your clothing. Make sure the muzzle's pointed out there somewhere straight in front of you. When you watch this, make sure you're not standing with the gun pointing into the ground 4 feet in front of you, because that's not going to do you any good either. You want the gun up, all right? So 1, 2, 3. And if you pull it up or down, it really doesn't make any difference. Some people like to pull it up a little bit more. I'd say at this stage, keep it down low right where you pull it, because that's going to be the shortest distance between 2 points is right there. 3, 4. Run them together. This is the other one. Don't short circuit this one by trying to bring the hand back here or bring the hand out here someplace, because I don't want the gun out in front of me. I want to get the gun on target, keep it on target. And I always tell people, just open up your hand when you're doing this and let it slide straight across. That's all you do, let it slide straight across. And they just meet. Once they meet, what do? Knuckle over knuckle. And as the gun comes up, my thumbs are sitting like this. As the gun comes up, my hand will move just like this. knuckle over knuckle. As I come up, then I run it into thumbs forward, and as I do, as it runs forward, then this thumb will slide up out of the way. It just kind of rises as it comes up. But that way, when I'm here, I still have a good fighting grip on the gun. I can shoot from here. I can shoot. There's only that slight pause if I need to stop for just a second long enough to just get my thumbs together. And then once again up here, I've got a good fighting grip on the gun and I'm ready to go with it. And if I have to take one hand off of it, I still have a good grip on the gun. And if I'm not running thumbs forward, then everything's just going to stay right where it's at. Just rotate in there. So if you're running them this way, you don't have to move that other thumb out of the way. If you are going to run thumbs forward, somewhere about up in here, you're just going to make that transition in there. All right, so we're going to look at this. What I want to make sure we don't short circuit this, so we're going to run it a whole bunch of times. So what we're going to do, and we've already checked and cleared the gun, so just relax. I'm standing here. It makes you guys easier. I'll stand like right here so you're not pointing guns at me. We're going to run through this. I'll turn sideways so you can see, but we're going to do it in sequence. If you want to just pull your shirt back out of the way since you're working this to start with, that's fine. If you want to get in the habit of just using your support hand to clear your shirt, that's cool too. You guys, no, cover it up. You've done this enough times. Cover it up. All right, you didn't get any leeway. You ain't cutting you slack down there. You should have this down to an art form. All right, one, grip your firearm. Get a good grip on it. If you got a grip at the top, that's cool too. Like Andy has to because of how tight his fits. See, he's got to put his thumb on top because he's wearing a crossbreed holster and it is really flat and tight up against him. So it works. For us, Charles, same thing. You're just in there tight where it's at. So your thumb on top, and that's cool. So one is grip. Two, clear leather, and if your thumb's in the wrong spot, make sure you get your thumb down there. So as soon as I clear leather, I got a good fighting grip on the gun. Support hand coming across over here. Three, rotate. When you rotate the gun, go ahead, get it rotated. Remember, your target is up here somewhere. You don't have to rotate the gun so far out. You just want to keep it that, and that's plenty. Also, everybody, take a look at your gun. Where's it at? Make sure it's pointed center. And this is something you guys can work on at home to make sure the gun's pointed at your target downrange somewhere, not like over there or into the floor somewhere. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Just bring it into there. Don't bring the hand out. Remember, it's just meat. Take your left hand. When you guys do this, take your left hand. Everybody go back to where you got the gun, just above the holster back here. All right? Take your left hand and just slide it out first. Then slide your hand into it. Okay? Don't get ahead of yourself where they're coming out. Don't short it. Don't cut the corners on this one. Yeah, just bring your hand right across and bring the gun up to meet it. And if you find that when you bring your hand across, your gun's underneath it, guess what? You had the muzzle pointed in the wrong spot because the muzzle should have been clear off the gun. Because at this point, I want to get the gun into my support hand as quick as possible. And that's why I want it there. So we're at 4, and then 5. And we're going to go backwards. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Always take all the time you need to reholster the gun. There's no point winning a gunfight and shooting yourself in the leg, reholstering your gun because your clothes caught in it. The other thing is, nobody ever won a gunfight being the fastest reholster. That is not a required skill. Reholster your gun reluctantly. If my gun's out of the holster, it's because I had to take care of something threatening. I'm going to be darn sure that I took care of the problem before I reholstered the gun. So I'm never going to be in a hurry to reholster my gun. Because if I was in a hurry, I shouldn't have been reholstering. I should have been doing something else. All right. So we're going to do this nice and slow. 1, grip your firearm. 2, clear, draw straight up, keep the gun vertical. 3, rotate it. 4, support hand crosses and they meet. And you want to keep them in close like that. You don't want them too far in front of you because you're still back there where you're tight. And probably keep it back a little bit. When you're doing this one across, this hand ought to still be right here. Okay? You'll see why in a second. All right? And then 5, go ahead and extend it. Make your presentation your firearm.